Donovan throwing rocks and hiding his hands, Sadiq. Hello to you on the podcast and to you that are going to be watching on YouTube in the future. For those of you on Facebook, you will not be able to see Donovan because he's, behind the scenes working the bells and whistles. But, if you want to see him, I'll turn the camera and show you his, lovely face. So that's why you can't see him, but you can only see me. As always on this show, it is our goal to promote love, knowledge, and understanding in hopes of making us better Black people. Now, with that being said, as you guys can see, I have a topic. I wanted to kind of keep it light today. I don't know if that topic is light, but I just kind of want to, just do something else. And as you can see, we're going to be talking about Black men and women. Specifically, it says Black men and women. What do we need to do, or what do we need from each other, rather, to build a nation? A nation of Black people that are strong, that are practicing group economics, the whole nine, just loving each other, just doing the right thing by ourselves and each other, that whole thing. Right. Okay, so yesterday, I was rewatching Minister Farrakhan's Savior's Day address. Now, one of the many things he touched upon was the relationship between Black men and Black women not being good. Now, he was talking about how women around the world are starting to rise up. And specifically, he was saying women in Saudi Arabia, how they're not being treated well. They can't, not that they're not being treated well everywhere else, but he was just using that as an example, like they can't drive and, the whole nine. And he says that women are not meant to just, stay in the kitchen. He did that, though, although that would be nice. If women, not that they would just stay in the kitchen, but just, cook, because, we've heard a lot of men say that, women don't cook anymore and all this other stuff. Now, I'm going to go back to my notes. I said that already. Now, he says it doesn't make any sense, sisters. You got a good man that is willing to get up and go to work. And when he comes home, you don't even cook. You give him something out of Sister Sally's kitchen or from McDonald's. He says cooking is a job. He likened the women in the Nation of Islam to scientists in the kitchen, because it takes, to know what to feed your man in order to not kill him, yourself or the family. Hey, Asada. Hey, Hannah. And so he also says, let's see, where did I go? He also says a man likes to see a woman the way he met her.
It'd be nice.
I know that's why I hope that don't open up a can of worms. Basically, he's saying, a lot of times in relationships, we get older, we gain some weight or whatever the case is, but he acknowledged we want to see them. Hey, Holland, we want to see y'all women as close as possible. Don't be letting yourself go and all of that other stuff. But we'll get into that. And so he says that a woman is supposed to be a man's heaven. I think we can all agree with that. Now, he went to the quote of Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and said that every no good, now this is going toward the men, every no good woman was more than likely made that way by a no good man. Are you getting ready to disagree?
No. That's
okay.
Preach,
so for you guys who are just now coming on, that's Donovan Sadiq. He is my co-host. Okay, so he said, she was made that way by a no good man. He used the example that, and he asked the women during the Savior's Day address, he asked the women, he said, don't raise your hands, but how many of you all have been molested, had a man do something crazy to you, just even as a child? I think most women, but specifically Black women, can say, yeah, I've had some of this and that go on. And so therefore, the woman is kind of being tainted a little bit by the actions of a no good man. All right. And so moving right along. He also says that women are very familiar with black eyes and their husbands are very familiar with knives and stabbings in the kitchen because of those black eyes. Now, the minister said that all women have a mouth on her. Now, I think that's true to some degree. Sometimes we say a little bit too much. But he says, basically, a man that deals with her in wisdom will make it out alive.
Absolutely.
He also said that a woman is not made to submit to ignorance. A woman will challenge your authority if you're just using authority and not wisdom. Now, he said again that he's never met a dumb woman in his life. Never, ever has he come across a dumb woman. Now, he told the story of 62 years ago. So when him and his wife was first married, said they got into an argument about something. He doesn't remember what it was at this point, but he said he slapped her. And then she slapped him back. And he said that was the last time that, he ever, put his hands on her. He said because he was trying to get her to submit out of ignorance and not using wisdom. He said back then they were taught that I give orders to everybody, including you.
Yeah, it's a dictatorship.
Right, it's a dictatorship. So he says obviously he doesn't feel that way anymore. And so he doesn't do that. Now, let's see. Go on. Okay, so I got a lot of notes, y'all. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, if you beat a woman, you don't need a woman. That's what he was saying to me. And I'm going to get to you guys' comments in just a second. Now, he also said a woman is second only to God. And so he's saying that's how high up she is.
Should be.
And so the fact that she's that close to God, that's how she should be revered. That's how she should be respected. Absolutely. As very close to God. All right. Moving right along. So when I was doing research for this show, not just this show, because Donovan and I have talked about this a number of times on our other show, I came across a lot of attributes for men and women, husbands, wives, mothers, and fathers. And so I'll read some of them. For the woman, it says she's a partner, a helpmeet, better half, mother, manager, accountant, counselor, consultant, confidant, nurse, chef, fashionista, leader, lover, educator, motivator, inspirational, organizer, decorator, creative director, financial advisor, respected enforcer, and a good communicator. And in essence, she's an asset and she is to submit. Okay, wait a second now. Hold on. Now for men, it says he's a spouse, partner, help me, better half, head of the house, breadwinner, provider, protector, mentor, teacher, leader, lover, respected, handy, resourceful, reinforcement, wise, knowledgeable, a good communicator, and he's also an asset, and he needs to be worthy of submitting to. So we're not talking about somebody who is just lackluster on both sides. These people have to be doing their part in order for the union to work. Now I'm getting to the end of my notes. Now, as I said before, Donovan and I have discussed this plenty of times. Sometimes we've gotten into some little heated arguments over, I guess you could say the dynamics of men and women and all that kind of stuff. And so today's question, we want to include you guys into the discussion. Now, as I said before, the question is, what do black men and women need from each other in order to build a nation? So I will get to you guys' comments. And then we can get it popping, as the young people would say. And so Holland says, happy Sunday, Asada. And she is saying the same one to you. Commissioner Baker, what's happening? He says, good show. Hey, Yasmin, thank you so much. I try to switch it up every now and again.
Is that the Princess Leia?
No, it's ain't no Princess Leia.
Yeah, it is. Empire Strikes Back.
Princess Leia stole this from us.
Okay, gotcha.
They call this a goddess braid.
Crown. Yeah, crown.
It's a braid.
Okay.
So Holly says, reaction, laugh out loud. And then Asada says, accurate. And Hannah, if you say, we all need to seek first to understand before we want to be understood. Most issues stem from not taking your partner's thoughts and feelings into consideration before acting. Mm-hmm. And I would agree with that. A lot of times people think that love is supposed to be convenient. And it's not always convenient. Meaning that there might be something you want. Let's just take something as simple as food. You want pizza? I don't want pizza. Now, maybe I can say, well, he really wants pizza. I don't want to eat it. It's not really something I want to do. It's not convenient. And I've had it. Okay, but you know what? For the sake of argument, and because I know it's going to make him feel good to have it, let me relent. It doesn't need to be when I ain't having no pizza again. You gonna have what I say we having, and all of that other stuff.
Let me intercede for the people on the video. Let's look at a video that kind of relates to what you're talking about. It's a clip from What's Love Got to Do with It, and it relates to what you're saying in the part where he was like, "Put some stank on it, anime. Put some stank on it." Let's take a look, and we'll be right back.
Now, for you guys that are on Facebook, obviously you won't see the video. That's going to be the finished product. Okay, and so
there it is.
And there it is. All right, and so Asada says, first and foremost, we need each other. Yes, that is a notion that we need to come to terms with. We have gotten so to the point to where we say, well, first of all, and I'm just speaking from a woman's point of view, so women, please don't get mad at me, but a lot of times we get in a habit of saying, I don't need a man. You know, I got my own this and I got my own that. And the fact of the matter is we do need men.
And I got so many degrees.
Yeah, you know, I got all these degrees and, you know, I can make it happen by myself. But we cannot build a nation by ourselves. That's just plain and simple. We've seen where that's gotten us so far. It's not very good. And so, Errol, what's happening? I have not seen you on Facebook in a minute. You said common goals. Yes. And that's something that people actually need to come to terms with before you get into a union. You know, have a discussion because, you know, me and Donovan talk about it a lot. It's part of the courting process. Okay, what are you trying to do in life? Okay, great. Well, I'm trying to do this. What are your goals? Well, you know, I'm not saying it got to be these big, audacious goals, but we got to, like you said, Earl, we have to be on the same page. We got to have the same common goals. It's just probably not going to work or be very difficult to get it to work. Hey, Athena, you said we need to learn to love ourselves first. Absolutely. Without knowledge of self and proper love for self, I or anyone else can't love someone else properly. You'll try, but at the end of the day, it'll fail because you don't even know who you are or have enough love and respect for yourself. And then when you try to love someone else before you love yourself, you end up doing things you wouldn't ordinarily do because you don't have any personal, standards or expectations. Mm-hmm. You just kind of go along with the flow and, you know, do things you probably wouldn't ordinarily do. And so, Benny, what's happening? You say, realize that love is something you build and not something you find. We are all looking for something versus creating strong foundation to build on and also be more willing to put in work. Yes, a lot of relationships are not lasting because of all the things that you guys said. First of all, you know, there's no common goals. We don't love ourselves first. And we're not willing to work on stuff. Times get rough and it's like, you know what?
I'm out.
I'm out because you're getting on my nerves. Mm-hmm. You did. And said, now I'm not saying, you know, stuff that's egregious, you know, like infidelity and all that other stuff. And hell, if that's something y'all got, you know, y'all cool with in your relationship, great. It ain't cool for me, but some people, they want to do that, but you got to put the work in for it to work.
And for the ladies, if you notice that your man starts acting up around when the rent is due, that's a clear sign that you're having an issue in what we're talking about.
Wow. Yeah, that's
you know what I'm talking about.
That's not good. Well, baby, what happened was...
No. I mean, he gets in an argument. He goes to his mama's house until the rent's paid. Then he comes back.
Oh, no. He wouldn't be coming back.
Right. But a lot of girls get in that situation. They don't know what's going on. Yeah. It seems like he acts just when the rent is due.
That's not a man. Yeah. That's none of the things that I described earlier on. And Travis, what's happening? He said, it is likely that a child who did not have a positive parental figure will have a loving relationship you said, is it likely that a child who did not have a positive parental figure will have a loving relationship as an adult? I'm going to say no, because I'm going to say a strong no, not a definite no. I just know from experience that I watched my mom and dad. They weren't perfect. They had their issues. But I watched my mom and dad do their union, I guess, perform right to a certain degree. My mom was old school. So was my father. My father was like, listen, woman. No, he didn't say that to her. I'm the provider. I'm going to protect you guys. You stay home.
He put the boundaries down.
A homemaker and raise my babies.
Yeah, he put his boundaries.
Teach them something. And, you know, she was cool with that. My mom had a nursing degree, but she decided to stay home with us in order to raise us. And so, I think you need to see that, especially in your own home. You need to see it working. I don't know if right is the right word, but you just need to see it working to some degree. And Hannah, if you say, we aren't each other's property, the notion of ownership causes a lot of stress, violence, and jealousy. You know what? You got that right, because a lot of times people, and I'll just throw this on the men, okay? Because, I mean, there's women who do it too. But back in the day, I mean, there are some states to where it told men that your women were your property. Mm-hmm. And that meant if you got out of line, I could backhand you, beat you, whatever out of line is. But
and that was predominantly in the South. Yeah,
in the South. I think Louisiana had that on the books that... Yes. Women were considered property. And let me know if I'm freezing up a little bit. But yeah, so you're right. We don't have ownership of each other.
Can I give a quick question out there? Maybe somebody that's listening will have a good answer for this. When you get married and you take your vows, for the minute that you put that ring on each other, isn't that another way of saying I'm only going to be with you and you're only going to be with me? So wouldn't that be a form of ownership? I mean, a form of it, not like an excessive thing, but you're saying basically I'm only going to have relations with you and you're going to have relations with me. Wouldn't that be the same thing?
So to me, hey, Al, so to me, the question, I think we need to make the difference and see, and you guys tell me if I'm off. Okay. Is there a difference between you belong to me and I own you? Because I think to your point, if we are taking vows, we belong to each other. Okay. I think to Hannah's point, if we have the attitude that I own you, that means, to me, it's like you own a puppet. You do what I say do, when I say do it. I have autonomy over you. You do not belong to yourself.
Well, even in my situation, wouldn't that be the same? Like if I'm leaving, me and you are married, and I'm leaving, I had to tell you I'll be back at 10. I'm going here. Isn't it the same thing?
Well, you're doing that because that's out of respect. But in essence, and I'm not trying to sound wayward, but I'm a grown woman. Sure. I tell you where I'm going out of respect, not out of fear. Okay. Not because, oh my God, if I don't tell him where I'm going, he might do something to me because, is it my duty? Yeah, I would say it's my duty, but it should be done for the right reasons, not because I fear you, because I respect you. And I want you to, return the favor to me, right? And so, Al, he says, and the Oscars awards for the new Princess Leia.
See, what did I tell you? What did I tell you?
This is not Princess Leia's hairdo.
What I said, Al. That's a Princess Leia Empire Strikes Back.
This is somebody in Africa's hairdo, okay? Princess Leia stole it from us. Hey, Earl, what's happening? He says diplomatic attitudes and the ability to talk openly without feeling the need to be the reason we are doing what we're doing. There's too much of, we need this, we need that, then we argue about that. No, absolutely. I mean, it's a relationship is, if it's two people, it's between two people. You are supposed to, as someone said, come to a common ground, be able to compromise, if you will. Be, not just what I want. I don't know if I addressed that right, Earl. And so Benny says, now, as for building a nation, we have to raise a particular mentality in our children where our progress as a nation is non-negotiable. It's a simple idea. At the same time, we complicate the task. And yes, my sister, she's a school teacher and she teaches, I think, 5th grade or something like that. But she says, just looking at their parents, she says, I hate to be negative, but she says they're a lost cause. Wow. They're a lost cause. She says, if we're going to make a difference, it has to be with the children. We have to, as you said, Benny, raising them a particular mentality of this is the goal that we as Black people are striving for. And in order to do that, you have to get along with, the Black woman, or in their case, the Black girl and the Black boy. We need each other in order to do that. But unfortunately, again, to your point, Benny, when they are at home and they see their parents not doing that, that's what they think is the norm. And so Hanafi says, if respect is present, there's no need to assert authority or ownership. No, absolutely. And that's what I was saying. If I respect you, I'm going to tell you, listen, honey, I'm going up the street. I'm going with such and such. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm not just going to, twirl up out the door and not say nothing to you. And then you call me talking about why you want to know. It ain't your business. I'm grown. I'm grown. That's probably not the relationship you want to engage in. And then Al says, in the sweet old school sounds of James Ingram and Patty Austin, you belong to me. You belong to me. That's not that's Michael McDonald.
No, yeah, Michael McDonald and Carly Simon.
Yes. Aha. Hey, Gina, what's happening? I have not seen you in a long time. But so, yeah, I mean, you're right, Benny. There's a lot of things that we have to take into account, and it really starts with the children. We have to start speaking that to them, and not even just speaking it to them, but showing them that example from the cradle. This is how it's done. This is how we go toward the goal of nation building. There's just There's no other way around that.
Okay, let's say you're a teacher and you're teaching that to my child, and I don't want that being taught to my child.
Then again,
now I'm coming to school to whip your ass.
What you mean as far as a teacher? No, I'm not talking about teachers. I'm talking about, I guess it should have been clear, parents.
But if the parents are lost cause, how do the kids?
Well, honestly, when you send your kid to school, the teacher's job is just to educate them academically. It's not, I mean, sure, it'd be nice if teachers were to show them some other stuff.
Sure, but what I'm saying is if the parents are a lost cause, how can the kids have a chance? Because if the parents are already lost, the kids are lost.
Well, there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying an absolute no, but there's a lot of people who will say, my mom and dad were effed up. They were on drugs. They were doing this and they were doing that. But Miss Hattie up the street, my teacher such and such, or the pastor at the church, they took me on and they mentored me. And that's how I learned to be A, B, C, and D. So it's not impossible, but it should come from the home that you learn, how to get along with each other. I mean, because we need each other. At the end of the day, and I can't remember who it was that said that, but we just been taught, and I think it was Asada, and we've been taught that we don't need each other, but we do. The fact is we need each other. And then, of course, if we take it back into history, Black men and women, we were doing pretty good until, feminism came along and told us, well, you don't need him, because white women were like, right now, we don't need our man. We need y'all to come over here and not need your man together and help us. And so, of course, we know all the social things that took place when Black men and women stopped getting along for whatever reason.
And the sad thing is we went to the NAACP this week and...
Watch your mouth.
No, the organization is being led by a bunch of women. Where are the men? So we do need more man participation in these organizations.
Right. And I don't see you guys' comments. That's why we're just speaking. But as Donovan was saying, we went to an NAACP event because we wanted to see a speaker. And to Donovan's point, he kept saying this to me. He says, where are all the men? Now, in fairness, there were some men there, but the organization was primarily headed up by women. All of the I guess the figureheads were women.
The leadership positions were women.
The leadership were women. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, and as Farrakhan said earlier, that women are starting to rise up, but is that particularly our role as women to be the sole leader?
Right.
Before it used to be the men. And then, women, now I want to say we followed, but, we were at least, I guess, beside them but it wasn't our job to take on a lot of the things that were going on in the community, in the house and all that other stuff. And Al says, give me the woman, Demetra, with bamboo earrings, at least 2 pair. I got 1 pair right now. And Hannah says, if the kids don't have a positive home, somewhere they have to learn their lifestyle is abnormal. Right. But again, a lot of times it is a teacher or somebody who, and all fairness to my teacher, my sister, I don't see her on here. She doesn't have any biological children of her own, but she has a whole host of children that she has, well, not even mentors, but she's just adopted, not legally, but has taken on her own. She's got... And
I'm going to put a stop to that.
You're going to put a stop to that? She has a lot of grandchildren that she considers her own and all of that. So she has done that. In a lot of those cases, those children didn't have the best homes. Right. And she saw that and she just stepped up as a teacher / a mama. And these kids are like 30 now and they consider her a mom. And Jeannie says, do you think it's always parents sometimes who you're around too? Well, as far as your parents being influential, well, your parents should be the most influential people in your life. And whether they are good or they're bad or their actions are good or bad, because I don't like to call people or parents especially good or bad, although there are some. I just think people's actions are good or bad. They're going to be influential one way or the other. Now, in a lot of cases, there's kids who say, my mom is doing some bad stuff.
Well, a good example, what happened at Paris right up the street here. The 13 kids that were ramshackled and stuff. Those are bad parents.
Those are bad parents.
That's right.
But so a parent is going to have some sort of influence on the children, whether it's good or whether it's bad. That's why, a lot of times, as you were coming up, you might have heard some parents say, don't do as I say, don't do as I do, do as I say.
Right.
In a perfect world, that would work. But
then at the same time, kids should also decipher, this isn't what I want to do. Looking at your parents saying, well, I don't want to make those mistakes. I want to do this.
And a lot of kids do that. Right. Like, I lived a jacked up life, and I don't want to do that. I want to do the opposite. And Floyd, what's happening? He says, the women are stepping up because so many brothers have dropped the ball. I'm glad you said it and I didn't.
Sure.
Because that is absolutely right. I was listening to one of Donovan's favorite people on the planet, and that's Shahrazad Ali.
Yes.
And she was saying that women are mad with her about her book, Every Black Man's Guide to the Black Woman. She was saying that women are mad with her, but she says if you guys really stop and think, she says this is an indictment on black men because black men have allowed the state of our race, our people, to get to the way it is by being absent. Dropping the ball or whatever the case
not
is.
Not caring.
To some degree. So she says, it ain't just, I'm not, it's not an indictment on the sisters. It's an indictment on the brothers.
Well, I'm going to say at the NAACP meeting, I was talking to a lady before you got there because Dee was late, as usual.
I was fashionably late.
Yes, fashionably late because she was hungry and stuff. But there was a lady, she brought her daughter. And I know she had a son. And I said, well, where's, Chris? And she's like, oh, he's at home. Well, why didn't you bring Chris? Oh, he didn't want to come. Huh?
Well, then again, where was his daddy? Why didn't he? Why wasn't he there as well?
But why did she mandate her daughter be there, but not the son?
Maybe she has no influence over the son, or then again, too, that's a whole.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that's just. Sometimes they say in our community, the son gets away with it.
Yeah, well, there's an old saying in our community: we love the boys, but we teach the girls.
And we raise the girls, yes. And then Benny says, for the idea of possession of spouse, well, in a true union, the two becomes one. Different talents and roles, but some goals, objectives, and understandings. Yeah, I mean, like for instance, I'll take me and Al. I'm a vegan. He's a meat eater. Okay.
Winco.
I don't even know if the last time the brother ate some vegetables. Okay. I'm just kidding. He eats some vegetables, I think. But it's not my job to chastise him. Oh, you need to be a vegan. You need to do as I do. Oh, you're a terrible person. Nah, I'll even cook the meat for you. I'm just not going to eat it because I realize that makes you who you are. And me doing what I do makes me what I am. Now, if we're doing something that's harmful to one another for the sake of this is what I want to do, well, that's a different story.
Right.
So, and Ali says, Michael Bolton has a song. What do you want to do? The Oscars are on tonight, not the Grammys. And you say Michael Bolton has a song describing the man's role, sole provider. Yes, but then again, we live, y'all. Now listen to this. This is where it gets kind of, I think, in dangerous waters here. Okay. We live in a day and age to where there's a lot of men like, it ain't my job to do that. You need to be working. I need to be working. I'm not taking care of you if you want to do this, that, and the other. If we going half.
Yeah, remember I told you on our last show, I had a young troop, and he was like, him and his wife were having problems. So they come to me as a counselor because I'm in the military. And I was like, what's the problem? She ain't got half the rent. This is his wife. I'm like, and I looked at him. I was horrified. But that's the mentality.
So what advice did you give them?
No, I didn't give her any advice.
Well, what advice
I gave
did you give
him advice.
Okay.
I said, are you hearing yourself? Are you listening to what you just said? You have a wife and you are dependent on her coming up with half the rent. So either you're a man and you're going to stand up or you're not. You bring home the whole loaf or you can't call yourself a man. But see, he didn't know that because he was raised by his mother.
Well, but, I don't know how long ago that was. I think it was like 50 years because you've been out of the military for a long time.
That's been about 12 years ago.
Okay, but there are a lot of men that, and listen, I'm not saying that women should not work because we know we live in a day and age where sometimes two people got to work, but we do things right, maybe not.
Afro Thunder is working because she wants to.
Right, oh yeah.
Yeah, because I can take care of everything else, all right?
But there's a lot of men like, hell no. If I'm going to punch a clock, she's going to punch a clock too. She's doing half. I'm doing half. Ain't no free ride around here, baby.
But isn't there a blueprint of the basics of what a man is and the basics of what a woman is?
Yes. Now, I will say this. I don't see any more comments. Oh, yes, I do. Al says, your veganism hasn't rubbed off on me, but my high yellow self rubbed off on you with that sweater. Stop hating on my sweater. I got the speed, and that leads into my next point. Okay, I got this sweater from the thrift shop. Okay, for just a couple of dollars. Now, with that being said, in order for a man to take care of you as a woman, you have to be that type of woman that is, as you know, some people follow the Bible says, a good steward over the money. Mm-hmm. My dad says some men in a spoonful of money, and then there's some women who shovel it out the back door because she is not economically savvy to say, you know, and Farrakhan talks about this too. Okay, my man is out there working so I can stay home, make the house a home, and I don't need to go, you know, buying a new dress every day and, you know, being on a home shopping network. Do people still do that? I don't have TV. Or, you know, hanging out at the mall. I am going to be saving this money so that he don't have to go work a second job. I'm going to maybe learn how to sew. Oh, my God. That's going way back. I'm going to learn how to cook. I'm going to make our money stretch. Now, that's the type of woman that a man can provide for. As Shahrazad Ali said as well, I mean, there's a lot of men who just feel like no matter what I do, I can never do enough for this woman.
Right.
There'll never be enough because there's never enough of more with her. And she's going to dig me into a grave financially.
And a good example, Lorenzen Wright, what happened with him and his ex-wife.
Yeah, for you guys to follow Donovan's like following the Lorenzen Wright thing with, what's her name, Shara Wright?
Shara Wright, yeah.
Shara Wright, she, you know, killed the basketball player for his life insurance money. It's a whole mess.
Yeah, I mean, she's spent money out of...
Spent $1 million in 10 months. Yeah. So that's not being a good steward over the money. And then so, Robert, he says, I would just want my lady to live out her purpose. Yes. And she is able to do that, providing you're saying that you will stay, you know, provide if she stays home. If she's living out her purpose while not driving you into the poorhouse. I mean, there's a lot of men out there who are working 2 and 3 jobs to try to keep the household afloat. But it's like, to me, I'll give you guys a perfect example. I knew of a guy who was going to the divorce court, I guess you can say, with his soon-to-be ex-wife. Now, she was asking him for a lot of money, like $18,000 a month. I'm not kidding. $18,000 a month. And on her detailed, itemized expenses of trying to justify why she needed this money. Now, she's a stay-at-home mom. One of them was $1,200 for eating out expenses. And the judge was like, and I was there, so I'm a witness to this. I might be telling too much now, but the judge... The judge looked at the expense sheet and she says, and this is a woman, a stay-at-home mom needs $1,200 to eat out? She said, that's an oxymoron. How are you staying at home? She said, if you're staying at home, aren't you supposed to be cooking and, you know, making sure the kids are eating a well-rounded meal? Why would I give you $1,200 to eat out with? Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, the man made pretty good money at the time, but it was just, even the judge was like, nah, there's a lot of things I can do, but I can't do that. And so Alex says, the minister said on Savior's Day that if a man is no damn good for his woman, then he is worthless water. Yes, and he was making that point too, that he was actually talking about sperm. Okay. That by itself, it's worthless water. It means nothing. It only means something when it comes in contact with the woman's egg, and then it has purpose. And so he's saying that men need women in order to, and my dad says this a lot, to be a man.
Right.
Not like, you know, the physical aspects of a man, but just that whole provider, protector, all of that kind
you're
of
a father because you're taking care of kids. You're a husband because you're taking care of a woman.
Right. Who is taking care of your kids,
right,
supposedly.
Exactly. And that's the definition of all that.
Right. Hey, Dominique, he says, how do we make young men who have never seen a male role model in action take on that role? Well, you know what? That is a good question. Now, we got to also take the word never, because when you say never, you know, it's like he's never seen. And you know what? That's not odd. Maybe he's never seen that. But I don't know, at some point in time. I mean, I guess there are men who have grown, you know, older in their 20s and stuff who maybe had not seen that. And maybe they just learn it. I don't know, reading some books or maybe being around other men.
Well, I'll give you a better example.
Okay, let a man speak to that. Hey, Shauna.
I don't believe in the modern age that anybody with all this YouTube and all stuff, you could say you can never see it. You see it on TV shows. They watch all the things. You had a black president named Barack Obama.
Okay.
So how did he become president? He didn't do that by stealing and robbing and killing.
So, and Alex says the show is breaking up. Is it still breaking up? And so, to Donovan's point, Barack Obama's a lot of people, especially men, I've heard about the second or third men I've heard make that argument in regards to Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, I guess we should say, is that a lot of he showed a lot of black men how it should be done as far as how to carry yourself. I don't care what nobody say about Barack Obama. That brother got one of the smoothest, most debonair and just bad as walks on the planet.
Yes.
I mean, it's like when the dude walks, he glides, it's smooth. And, we've never seen him sagging or his hair,
we've never seen him smoking in camera.
Well, he smokes, but we've never seen it. Right.
Right.
He's and then most importantly, y'all, if again, Barack Obama has never done anything for black people, he showed black men and women how to love a black woman. A black woman, y'all.
He also showed what black fathers go through when they have daughters.
Oh. Right, but I never saw it. Okay, like for instance, y'all, this is some jacked up stuff. How is my reception doing? Is it good? Okay, you guys have probably seen the video of Trump. Y'all see that video of Trump? I think it was yesterday or the day before, where he gets out of the car, and I guess it's pretty cold where they were. Washington is raining and it's freezing. This dude jumps out of the car and he runs to Air Force One. He runs to Air Force One and he leaves Melania in the car. Melania gets out of the car and she's running. I mean, the dude was already on the plane before she could get out of the car. And she's running behind him.
Trump just cares about Trump. Trump just cares about Trump.
But we never saw Obama do that to Michelle or anyone.
Always had a umbrella and he carried it.
Did you guys? And if you guys ever saw the video of Barack when he was walking from the tarmac or where it was to the White House, it was raining, pouring rain.
And he had his umbrella.
And his two aides that were with him, that were women, he had the umbrella on them, and he was completely getting drenched.
Right.
But so that is one thing we saw Barack do is show black men and women, especially young men, this is how you treat a woman.
And if you want to get to this level, you can't get there robbing and stealing and smoking and Sherm, whatever you're smoking.
Right, but then the other part of that too is, Michelle was an outstanding woman as well. So
his boss, sexual harassment. Me too.
Yeah, right.
Get it, Obama. Get paid.
And then Benny says the actual contrast of a man is a woman. She defines him as does he defines her. No, absolutely. It's I say this a lot, but one of my favorite little memes that I put up every once in a while that says a man that can't learn from a woman is a fool, and a woman that doesn't have anything to teach him is one as well. So we mold and shape each other. As you say, we define each other. We're supposed to complement each other. You guys have seen older couples that have been together for years, and they speak at the same time. Sometimes they even look alike. Their mannerisms are alike.
They finish each other's sentences.
All of that because they have just become one. Right. Not saying that they don't have their own existences, but they've become one in how they think, in how they move, everything.
Yeah, a lot of young men out there think because I'm a man, I'm in charge. It's more than that.
Right. Well,
it's way more than that.
What's below your belt don't make you in charge.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. So a lot of young men think that because I've got a penis, it's like you said, there's just so much more to it. That's like saying because I got some breasts, I get to do A, B, C, and D and get away with it. No, there's more to it than that. And then Alex says, I'm curious, why is the man invest your money called a broker? Why is the man that invests your money called a broker? Because he makes you broke.
Makes you broke and make him rich. And then Benny says, that's what I meant by a true union. Two becomes one. Absolutely. But there's so many people who will never make it to that point because they're too busy trying to be the one in a relationship. I'm on top. Yeah. You do what I say. Right? To me, like I said, I grew up watching the dynamics of men and women where my father went to work. He owned his own business. My mom stayed at home and she raised us and all of that. But to me, it just makes me cringe when I see women talking loud and crazy and boisterous to men. And, it's just, to me, it's bad too to see a man doing it. But I mean, I've seen women, say, you don't tell me what to do and be quiet and all of that other stuff. I'm like, wow.
Well, remember that video you sent me where that big woman was like making that man stay with her? Oh man, that was
you can't make nobody stay with you now. If you want to leave, he gonna leave.
She was forcing him to stay.
Yeah.
So
and then Earl, he says, y'all definitely have to do a part 2. You know what? We will. Me and Donovan, we chop it up a lot on the other show. And on YouTube, and we get to, some pretty, I say some pretty interesting comments. Wow. Man. We do. Yeah, we've been called everything but the child of God. It's like, wow, we just having a discussion here.
It's rough, but we got to have this discussion.
We have to have this discussion. We got to understand what makes us work and work together. And then Dominique, you say, because the process of negotiation is called brokering. Well, there you have it, Al. See, Dominique, Al is always trying to be a smart ass. That's what he get. Thank you for educating him and us. Thought he was being funny. And then Al, you say you got to restart the show because it's stopping for real. You guys, is the show stopping? Because Al, maybe it's just your phone. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got that Pac Bell South net thing.
Wow,
I don't know.
And so everybody else is saying it's clear on their end, Al. So maybe you just got to restart your phone.
Restart.
So I mean, So we talk about this all the time. It's just something we, like you said, we need to talk about this because, true indeed, not everybody has the answers. People like Farrakhan talked about when back in the day, 62 years ago, when he thought he was about to be funky fresh. And, he slapped his wife. He says the last time he did it because she slapped him back. But he said, I had to learn how to be a man. He said, I didn't know how to be that exactly. He said the leadership that I came up under, taught from a very austere point of view in that you as the man, you're the ruler. You're calling the shots. Right. You're over her. And so he said he learned that he needed to be a husband and evolve in wisdom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do they say? You get more bees or flies with honey than
bees
vinegar.
With honey than vinegar.
Yeah, you can't. Donovan, I hate to tell you this, but you can't take the Ike Turner point of view in your relationship.
It works for me.
Donovan likes to talk about how he reads from the book of Ike.
Ike. There was a book written.
Called Ike.
Yeah, when I-Tina came out, there was a counter book named Ike, and he told his side of the story. How many of y'all have heard that book? Not many.
That is his Bible, y'all.
Yes.
Ike is his Bible. So yeah, everybody's saying it's clear on their end. And so that is how my ex-husband was. He was very domineering, and it's my way at a highway. Yeah,
and that was old school.
Yeah, it is old school and just it's foolish. Like why treat anybody like that?
Right.
That's that. It's like so barbaric.
Yeah.
I never even talk to my I say my kids because I raised my daughter, my nieces and nephews. I never talk to them like that, although I can get it pretty crunk when I needed to. But I didn't talk to them like that. So it's like, why would you talk to your woman or your man like that?
Right.
And then you say, I think we both should have relearned what we were taught. Yeah. And, depending how old you were, a lot of times we get in relationships when we're younger and we don't know nothing. And so we take that nothing into a relationship and think we know everything.
Exactly. I have a penis, so this is what I saw my dad do, so I'm going to do it. And
I watched Red Ike, and so I think I'm the man and I'm the boss, and because most men who are wise will say, any man who is wise know that the woman is the boss, but a woman worth her weight also knows that she's the boss. Now, I'm not saying she's, you do what I say and all that other stuff. It's how you do it.
How you do it.
It's
not
how
what you do.
Go about it, And then, Charles, you said, oops, there's a motorcycle going on outside. First, I thought it was an earthquake. I was about to see me jump. I was about to be up out of here.
That's my neighbor and his Harley. My neighbor and his
Harley.
Harley.
It is. So he's going to drive off in a second in his Harley. So anyway, he says, Ike was trash.
Yes, but he won a Grammy without Tina. How many of y'all know that? Ike
was trash. He wrote his book on being dominant and controlling.
Yes.
That is not what being a man is all
exactly.
about.
But in his defense, and any man that was raised in that era, you could only do what you know. in which you were taught. So I'm not making an excuse, but it was a different era.
Okay, let me ask you this, since Donovan, and I swear that motorcycle is going to leave in just a second. Do you need to be taught that is wrong to beat a woman up?
Well, you know, when you see your parents partying, you know, we're like, we used to have those parties. The kids' party becomes the adult party and stuff like that.